Hey, 42 here. Cave paintings are incredibly special. Not only are they the very first form of graphical communication envisioned by mankind, but they are the most tangible connection we have with our ancient ancestors, who lived, had families, hunted, did chores, played, and inevitably died. Tens of thousands of years ago. How do we know they did all those things? Because the marks upon these rocks tell us. They are a rich tapestry of human life, its ups and downs, carved into stone and preserved within a hidden sanctum for millennia. The oldest cave painting we have discovered is that of a bull in Indonesia. It is thought to be at least 40,000 years old, but could be up to 52,000 years old. Most cave paintings, however, have been discovered in Western Europe, specifically France and Spain. An impressive 350 caves containing prehistoric art have been unearthed in these two countries alone. Our ancestors created art to understand their world. These remarkable images signify an epoch in human history when Homo sapiens stopped simply surviving and started pausing to contemplate their surroundings, perhaps even enjoy them for a brief, quiet moment within the solitude of their dark subterranean retreats. One of the most telling portraits of basic human joy amidst a hostile world can be seen on the walls of the Cueva de las Manos, meaning Cave of Hands, in Argentina. Though at first it may look like the scene of some horrific mass execution, this is, in fact, the polar opposite. These stencil paintings were created by children and their parents, placing their palms against the rocks and blowing paint at it through a hollowed out bone to impress the outline of their hands upon the rock. The black paint was made from charcoal taken from the embers of their fire, and the red is ochre, which is basically clay rich in iron oxide, giving it a blood red hue. Both pigments would have been mixed with animal fats to give them a paint-like consistency. What was the point of doing this, you may ask? Well, it's quite simple really. Play. What you can see here is prehistoric man playing with their families, in the same way that parents finger paint with their children today. But they use their artistic expression for more than just recreation. Recent discoveries have led researchers to now think that they actually created humanity's first written language, and in fact some of these cave paintings were communications to others. Perhaps messages left to rival tribes, friendly tribes, or family members. In most of the caves in France and Spain where this artwork can be found, alongside the skillful impressions of bison and horses, are a bunch of mysterious symbols. For a long time, it was thought that they had little to no significance and were only drawn as a means of practice. But only in very recent years have specialists begun to collate all of these symbols from hundreds of caves into one single unified codex, and what they discovered blew their minds. The same, or at least unmistakably similar symbols have been found in hundreds of different caves, hundreds of miles apart from one another. Genevieve von Petzinger from the University of Victoria in British Columbia has a particular interest in these symbols and has travelled all over Europe recording their appearances. In total, she has found 32 distinct symbols that are repeated over and over again, from simple circles to ladder shapes. It is possible each could represent a specific animal or object. This could be a horse, for example. But it gets even more intriguing because the symbols are often found in sequences, for example, lines next to dots, and these same sequences can be seen in different caves, in different countries, over and over again, almost like a language. We are the only animals on our planet that are able to communicate basic concepts via abstract shapes, and that we were doing it over 40,000 years ago is remarkable. And these symbols are nothing if not a teaser to an explanation of how Homo sapiens were able to dominate the environment around us and create advanced civilizations, something that no other species has ever been successful in doing. But occasionally, when intrepid explorers uncover a previously undiscovered cave in some dark corner of the world, they find more than animal shapes and symbols. Sometimes, they find something altogether more disturbing. Near the town of Churama in the Kanka region of India are caves that contain some of the most mysterious prehistoric paintings we have ever discovered. They show odd-looking humanoids with long limbs, tall necks, and bulbous heads. These paintings date back 10,000 years. Some researchers are convinced that these are graphical recounts of a first encounter with extraterrestrials. Some of the figures are wearing helmets with antenna-like shapes protruding from the top. And this particular drawing in the same cave resembles a disc-shaped UFO craft with 3 legs, or are they tractor beams perhaps? The truth is, we currently have no way of knowing what really happened on that day 10,000 years ago to cause our ancestors to paint such strange images. But what makes the whole situation even spookier is that they are not the only cave paintings that seem to resemble otherworldly beings. Take for instance these disturbing paintings found in the sandstone cliffs of the Sago Canyon in Utah. Painted roughly 8,000 years ago, they feature a variety of humanoids with bizarre body shapes. Some appear to be holding snakes and have snake-like antennas on their heads. These particular figures are known as the Buckhorn Wash Angels, and this painting shows what appears to be a cult-like meeting. There is a circle of people around a taller individual who looks like a giant alien robot. And finally, there is the artwork of the Aboriginal people, the Wanjinas, inhabitants of the Kimberley region of northwest Australia for at least 60,000 years. They left us with this striking rock art of slender men with huge craniums and eyes. In fact, these paintings are so close to the modern day pop culture interpretations of extraterrestrials that it has convinced many conspiracy theorists that these people genuinely received a visit from another world, all those thousands of millennia ago. But perhaps there's just something inherent within our idea of what other people would look like that hasn't changed through the ages. However, the Churama, Sago Canyon, and Wangina paintings may all share a common explanation that's more THC than ET. More rational anthropologists suspect all these examples are the result of possible drug-addled shamanism. Anthropologists believe that shamanism in various forms was an intrinsic part of prehistoric life in most cultures. If we forget about robot aliens for just a moment, then it's difficult not to see an obvious shamanism ritual represented in this particular painting in Sago Canyon. But researchers now believe that the majority of these old paintings were created under the influence of psychedelic drugs. We imagine drugs to be a modern invention, and indeed all refined drugs are, but apart from synthetic drugs such as meth, all natural drugs have to come from nature, and indeed many of the source plants of modern drugs do come from very recent cultivations in the span of human history, but plants have existed on Earth for perhaps millions and definitely tens of thousands of years that have the ability to significantly alter neural activity. Such as an ancestor of the hallucinogenic ayahuasca plant, which is still used by many tribal communities today. A paper published by researchers in Tokyo suggests that not only would have prehistoric man used those plants during their spiritual rituals, but they would have actually sought them out and collected them for future use. By using psychedelic plants, they would have been able to derive greater meaning from their rituals, as they would have visions of wild faces, shapes, and places that they could never see in the real world. The Tokyo researchers found the same crazy patterns repeated in different caves across the world. This would give credence to the psychedelics theory, as there are indeed specific patterns that the human brain tends to see under the influence of psychedelic drugs. These are collectively known as Turing instabilities. We see these patterns because they represent the layout of our brains. We are seeing visualizations of our neural pathways, which when you think about it is really trippy. We are able to see these patterns on psychedelics because they enable neurons to talk to other neurons that they would otherwise never be able to communicate with. Imagine for a moment that your brain is a series of adjacent rivers running down a hillside with many tributaries. But psychedelic drugs such as LSD allow those rivers to overflow and flood the mountainside. Suddenly, all these rivers and tributaries can now exchange information with others previously unreachable. And when that happens, you get weird shit like this. What's more, Stone Age man didn't just eat psychedelic plants, he smoked them too. Archaeologists from University College London and North Carolina State University recently unearthed ceramic bowls and tubes on the Caribbean island of Carriacou. It's believed this equipment was used during social gatherings and spiritual rituals to inhale the fumes from psychedelic substances. The most likely candidate for such a drug is jojoba, made from the ground-up seeds of the cojobana tree. This cave painting actually depicts an individual using a makeshift device to inhale jojoba. So, there you go. Our ancestors spent their days trying not to get eaten and laying around inside caves, getting high. Prehistoric man didn't have the internet, but if he did, he would definitely use NordVPN. NordVPN have kindly sponsored today's video. They have thousands of super fast servers in over 60 countries. NordVPN uses military-grade encryption and has absolutely no data logging. It works on any device: Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, Linux, you name it. You can even run NordVPN directly on your router so all of your devices are automatically protected. I travel a lot and I often do sensitive work on my laptop: banking, messaging, private documents, etc. in places like coffee shops and other public spaces. But I always use NordVPN in those instances because it's so easy for hackers to intercept your packets over a public Wi-Fi network and see everything you're doing online. NordVPN double encrypts your data, so you can use any Wi-Fi connection, 4G or 5G, and know you're completely protected and your data is secure. Take control of your internet experience today with NordVPN. And right now you can get 70% off a 3-year plan plus 1 additional month for free when you go to nordvpn.com/40 or use code 40 at checkout. This special offer makes your subscription just $3.49 per month. That's nordvpn.com/40 to take control of your internet again. Thanks for watching, subscribe for a new video every week, and a big thank you to the sponsor NordVPN. Don't forget to check them out, the link's in the description.